What's good? What's going on? Welcome, everybody. It is the Money Match Gaming Podcast. I am here with my co-host, my good friend, the one and only Dan Estrada.
I'm sorry, I can't see your screen at all, so I don't know if I linked at all.
We did all right. We did all right. I am sorry, my friend. Usually,
Okay.
I'm a little bit on that, but today
Yeah, I
we
wasn't
got
paying attention. I messed
let
up,
me go
and
ahead
now
and refresh
now
your
I'm a
picture.
black screen.
Boom. Oh,
Yeah. Also, I'm
still
just
messed
noticing
up.
that I don't have my green screen up, but it is what it is. Oh no, now I'm a flat guy. I'm a flat boy. Now I'm a giant.
You're
All right. Anyway,
huge.
what's up, guys? This is the Money Match Gaming Talk Show Podcast Extravaganza Spectacular. What is up, Deku Zard? And today we are talking about not coming soon December 2019, but we are talking about 2019 and the things we enjoyed about it. And we will also touch a little bit on 2020 and what we would like to see or what we are excited about from that year. So I hope everybody here had a good 2019. I'm going to honestly say 2019 was probably the best of the past like 3 or 4 years. I thought it was a fairly good year. A lot of things for me I thought were personally good, whether it be games, music, movies, life in general, personal, mental stability, all that good stuff. What does it say here?
He laughed at he Pokemon battled Smurf, and I watched him get demolished.
Oh, nice.
And
You watched Smurf get demolished or Deku's get
yeah.
demolished? I went to a
Smurf got
party the other night
crushed.
and my buddy just absolutely destroyed me in a Pokemon battle. Because, I mean, I haven't trained my Pokemon like at all, but he just whomped me. I was having very bad luck. But anyway, yes. So let's start by talking about some of our favorite games from 2019. And Lance, you wanna kick us off and start with a game?
Sure. First off, it's been a long year. Like I went through the list of the games that came out, and I was like, man, was it really this year? You know, yeah, it was this year. You know, you type it in, you're like, whoo, you know, and so I'm gonna go through my list. You know, so Smash Ultimate came out, yay!
It came out last year. Well, came out 2018, but
towards the end and stuff. And the DLC has been, I think, really, really good in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was kind of better than expected. You know, they started off with Piranha Plant, and I was like, I don't get it. You know, and character came out, and people were like, we don't get it, but okay, sure, yay. And then it kind of went down a little. It was just good. It was just good. Animal Crossings for a few months, or for a few more months. What?
Yeah, a few more months till Animal Crossing comes out in
okay.
May or March. March is actually a really big month. There's a lot of stuff coming out in March.
Like, the way you worded that, I was kind of like, ugh. But I get it. Borderlands 3 came out. I really enjoyed that game. I just like Borderlands. I'd like to play it. That'd be fun if my brother would indulge me in that.
The DLC for that actually came out recently too.
Right, I'm excited. Yeah. It was just, maybe we can get past the first part. I'd be happy, but hey. The Last Remnant as well. He actually does
just Remnant. Just Remnant. Are you talking about The Last Remnant, like the game from 2008?
No. You know what I mean. Remnant.
Remnant
from the Ashes. Yeah. There's a lot.
You gotta clarify, as those are two different games.
I know, but I was making my list. I'm not like super.
And also The Last Remnant, they did just remaster it this year as well.
Right.
Onto the Switch, so it could have been that one. I was like, oh, maybe he played it. I don't know.
I do enjoy that game, although like the way it's designed is a little weird, but that's fine too. Then there's also a lot of Total War Warhammer 2 DLC that I really, really enjoyed. It brought a lot of life to the game. Not to say that the game was bad or anything like that, but they're really starting to flesh this game out, and I'm super excited for Warhammer 3, Total War Warhammer 3 when that comes out. I think it'll take the game to a whole nother level. We talked about it before, which was Pokemon Sword and Shield. I enjoyed that game. Fire Emblem Three Houses. Really, really dig that a lot. And then Apex came out. I was like, really?
Oh, dude, that is this year, huh? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I typed it in because I was like going through the list and
it came out
some
April.
of the games, and I was like, wow, is it really Is it really only been a year? Because like, doesn't that game feel like it's been out forever? Like,
Yeah, it kind of does at this point. I think it because it aged so quickly. It had its high point in the sun, and then was like,
poof.
oh man, this is the Fortnite killer, and then very quickly stopped being the Fortnite killer. So it,
Oh no.
it kind of it cooled the game down and made me forget about it a lot. So I think that's a good reason on why it feels like it was forever ago that I played it. But yeah, it hasn't been too long.
Right. And then the last one, even though I haven't even picked up the game, was Gears of War 5. And I know I'm going to like Outrider, so I should throw that on the list. I know I'm going to like that game. I always say it wrong. You know me, dude. What's the proper. The Outer Worlds, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
because
Yeah,
Outer
yeah, right.
Wilds is a different game,
You're right, right. Yeah,
which
yeah.
is also supposed to be very good. I haven't played it though.
Right. I want to throw that on there because one of these days, your boy will play it. And I'm excited for it. There were also a couple titles that I didn't put on the list, but kind of made some like headway. And so, like, I'm gonna say it wrong. You can correct me as usual. But there's Shakiro, the really hard.
Sekiro.
Yeah,
Sekiro
Shakiro.
Shadows Dies
Yeah,
Twice.
yeah. I have a feeling that I'd like that game as well, and I feel like that's an honorable mention that
Are
should
you
go on the
are you a
list.
Souls game fan?
I don't play a lot of the Souls, but the way that one was designed, the way it looked, I think I would enjoy those games. I just
Yeah,
don't play as
it's
many
very hard.
as.
All I know about it is very hard.
Yeah. That's all my friends said. You know, hey, I still there's like this boss I can't beat, and once I couldn't beat him, I kind of just stopped playing. And I was like, well, damn, dude. He was like, well, that's all life, you know, because I was like trying to get him to download Remnant from the Ashes. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, hey, you know, and then once he said that, I was like, well, there's a couple bosses that are rather difficult, you know. And I was like, I don't know.
I feel like Sekiro is probably way harder than Remnant. Remnant was hard. Well, it's definitely hard by yourself.
Oh,
Playing with someone else, it was not so bad.
your friend was like a G though. Like that's all you're like. Yeah, he's
Yeah, he
really
is really
good.
he
Yeah,
is
so it's
really
like
good.
if there's some dude like stomping it for you, you know.
Well, hey, I held my own.
That's just the
Okay,
way you described it, Dan.
he's good. No, I mean he's really good. Don't get me
Right.
wrong, but I held my own. I probably wouldn't have seen through the whole game if it wasn't for him, though. I'll be fair. I'll be fair with that.
So
But
yeah,
cool. So, of those games, would you have a game that you would say is your game of the year? Like your
uh,
favorite game you played this year? It doesn't have to be like, and that's the thing. Like for your game of the year, it doesn't have to be like, well, this is the title that won game of the year, so this is what should be game of the year. Like it's
I
what
think
you had the most fun playing this year.
what I had the most fun playing was Fire Emblem Three Houses. To be honest,
Cool.
do I think it was the best game that came out? Probably not. And you know, there's like a lot of things
I think
that
it was
could
a
be
really
better.
good game.
Oh, it
Yeah,
was a
for
great
sure.
game. I'm not doo-dooing on the game. I think the game's
Mhm.
great, but it could use some improvements. And I really should. Did the DLC come out yet?
I have no
Do we?
idea.
Do we?
I haven't.
Okay,
I haven't
yeah,
touched that game in a long time.
yeah. I just really enjoyed it.
I think it might have though. I think it might have.
I thought so too, but you know, I
I think
just
someone told me it did.
busy with a bunch of other stuff. So you know, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's probably my favorite game so, thus far. It's just it was entertaining. I liked the story of it. You know, it was kind of good. You know, like again, you know,
Yeah.
these games sometimes end up being a little simplistic. That was definitely simplistic. Um, but yeah, great game. I loved it. It was good.
Yeah.
Let's hear your good old thing.
So I've got a lot of games on my favorite games list, and it was cool because this year, you know, a lot of people are saying that there's a lot of garbage games that came out this year, and I think that's true from like a AAA perspective. There has been like a lot of mediocre stuff coming out, and maybe not all the best titles are coming out. Whereas 2020, there's I feel like a lot of good on the horizon, whether we get it or not. But I played a lot of really good games, and every time I feel like a lot of times while I was playing the game through the year, I was like, "Oh, this is my game of the year," and then I'd play another game a few weeks later and be like, "Oh, this is my game of the year." Like I beat a lot of games this year, games that I probably would not have beaten in previous years. Well, no, actually, I probably would have. These are all games that were good. Like no game that I played through to conclusion, I didn't enjoy it fully. But yeah, so some of the games I'll mention, you said Fire Emblem Three Houses. Definitely want to mention that one. That was just a really great game. Outer Worlds, another one. Remnants, another one you mentioned. Pokemon. All those are games I have on my list as well. Other games I have on my list that you didn't mention. This one actually just beat the other day, Astral Chain. Really good game, really fun game, especially if you like hack and slash JRPG style games. If you're into Nier Automata, it's made by the same people who make that. Platinum Games, they do a pretty good job with it. It was a lot of fun. The last boss was a million times harder than everything else in the game. It took me like 5 hours to beat that last boss. No, probably not, like 3 hours. But I was getting really, really heated because I did not fail at all through the entire game, and then got like 50 game overs on the last boss and was just flustered. But
What is this? Where am
yeah,
I?
but I mean, it was still a fun game nonetheless. Like I really enjoyed it, and when I did beat that last boss, I felt really proud and accomplished. Um, Borderlands 3 is a game you mentioned, but I mean, yeah, it's rare because I don't on this list. I don't also have Kingdom Hearts 3, which could change next year because the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC looks like it might be pretty good. But Kingdom Hearts 3 looked like it might be pretty good, and it was fun, but it wasn't great. And like at the time, I was going up to bat for it, and I still would go up to bat for it in a lot of reasons. But it's not a perfect game, and I understand that, and it's kind of boring in a lot of senses. It's hard to reapproach. But Borderlands 3 is not that. Borderlands 3 builds upon 2. The story is not quite as good as 2. I think everyone could agree there. There's a lot of people who don't like certain characters, whatever. I don't feel that same way. It's not a big deal. But I do think that the gameplay of Borderlands 3 makes it hard to go back to a Borderlands 1 or 2 because the gameplay is so fluid and nice and just feels so good. And all the guns are like interesting and different that it really makes Borderlands 3 feel great. Like it makes the game is buggy. May not have the best story in the world, but it's like the best way to play Borderlands.
Yeah,
in
and
my opinion.
the guns are better overall,
Yeah,
just in general.
yeah,
Like all the brands I really really enjoyed except Atlas, which is
yeah.
what I were originally talking to you about. Like, and yeah, it was just a really good game.
There's Atlas guns I liked. Yeah. Um, another game I'll say this is a more indie title is Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire was a ton of fun. Loved that game. For those who aren't familiar, it is essentially like a deck building RPG where there's 3 different characters, actually a 4th character coming out soon, and they all have their own special decks that you build while you play. And as you essentially you fight these battles using the cards from your deck. And every time you win a battle, you get to add a new card to your deck if you choose so. And you want to build your deck specifically so that you can progress through all the levels and beat the final boss within the game, something like that. But it's just a ton of fun. Anyone who knows me knows that as far as board games go, I'm a really big fan of deck building games. So to have a deck building video game that kind of you build your deck as you go and really specialize over certain things, it was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it for anybody who likes card games or RPGs or anything of that nature. Another one I want to bring up is Katana Zero. Katana Zero was a game I played in one afternoon. It's a ton of fun. It is a side-scrolling platformer with a one-hit kill mechanic where the story is like bonkers and trippy as hell and goes in all sorts of different different directions and very just wild. It felt like legitimately like I was tripping on drugs, like for real. And I say that as a person who has tripped on drugs, so I know the feeling before. And it was an absolute experience. I highly recommend it. Music was great. Music was very like future synth type stuff, and I dig that. I dig that vibe a lot. Really cool game. I know it's on the Switch. I'm not. I think it's on the PC as well. I'm not sure if it's on the Xbox or PS4, but highly recommend it. Not a very long game. Takes like 5 hours. Definitely worth it. Another game I want to bring up, another indie game, Void Bastards, which I played this year, and when they put it on Game Pass. And what Void Bastards is a roguelike type game where you go from like ship to ship and collect loot, and you have to build certain things to get through the end of the game, like any kind of roguelike. But it's just really fun, really well written. The characters are funny. The gameplay is really fun. It's like a first-person shooter type thing. It's not easy. It's pretty difficult. But highly recommend if you have Game Pass, check it out. Definitely one of the more fun games I played this year. Here's another whatchamacallit, another AAA title I wanted to mention, Devil May Cry 5. I think we actually did an episode of the podcast on Devil May Cry 5. I don't remember if we did or
We
didn't.
were going to, but I never found the time to play the game.
Fair enough. So we didn't do it. But Devil May Cry 5 was really good. Big fan. I mean, as I stated earlier with Astral Chain, I'm a big fan of hack and slash type games like that. And it was really well done. It was a good story. The music was awesome. It looked incredible. Like, they did a really good job with that game. And a lot of people don't like DMC for one reason or another. I don't really have a problem with DMC, so I don't mind that much. But Devil May Cry 5 was a good return to form for the series for a lot of people. And I guess I could agree with that, even though I didn't have a problem with DMC. I thought this one was probably a better game. Another one that I was actually just playing a little bit ago, Crash Team Racing, a game that is essentially just a remake or a remaster of the old Crash Team Racing, and with, added all the other Crash Racing games that came out, the maps all into one game. It's a lot of fun, man. It's crazy because I'd never played Crash Team Racing before. I'm a big Mario Kart guy. I like kart racers. I think they're really fun. But I bought Crash Team Racing on a whim, and at first I kind of hated it because I was so bad. But that game has one of these skill curves that once you start getting good at it, it is really hard to put down. And I started getting good at that game, and I started getting feeling fat. Like, you feel so much faster once you're hitting the boost and stuff. And ooh, man, I really, really enjoy that game, and I love I know a lot of the fans of the game got really upset when they added one book that you could buy the coins from the game with real money. And to be honest, I think it's unwarranted hate. I really do, because the game is incredibly fun. It is not hard to get the coins in the game, so you don't need to buy them. You never feel the pressure to buy them. They never decreased the amount of coins you got when they made it so that you could buy them. And they provide a free, every month, essentially, they give players of the game a free battle pass, complete with new skins, new cars, new characters, challenges to do, a new map every time. They've added 5 maps since the game came out. I don't see how you can complain about that. To me, that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. Okay, they want to make a couple extra bucks here, sell, 20,000 coins for $20. Let them do that. They're not charging you for all this other extra content. Let them scam some fools. Whatever. Who cares?
You can't even use scam in that scenario.
Yeah, it's not even a scam. Whatever. You can get the coins by playing the game, but if you're really hurting for coins and you just want the items in the pit shop, buy them. Sure, whatever. I don't care. But yeah, that game is incredible, and they keep adding stuff to it, and it's making it great. I mean, they added Spyro into it, which is really cool for a Crash game. That's and a lot of people say the character roster is really bloated with nobodies, which is fine. I don't care about that. I don't care if it's a character roster bloated with nobodies, as long as the game is still fun to play. And even the nobodies, who I don't know who they are, I enjoy them just because they seem like enjoyable chaps. I don't know.
Enjoyable chaps, my friend.
I don't know the Crash Team Racing lore, but I'm into it. So Crash Team Racing definitely gets a mention in my favorite games of the year. Like I said, I was playing it just today. I still play that game pretty consistently. So if I didn't mention that, then it's really terrible of me. But my game of the year, my number one game of the year, was a game that I wasn't even excited about until about a week before it came out. And then for some reason, I just started reading things about it, and it made me really excited to play this game. And it lived up to its hype, and that's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is a game that had no business being as good as it was. It's a game made by EA, or developed or published by EA, and it's a Star Wars game. Both of those things tend to mean this is going to be a bad game. It's not going to be that fun, but it was a fun game. Respawn did a great job. I can't say enough great things about Respawn. You mentioned Apex earlier, Titanfall 2. This is just another notch in their belt. They did a great job. I know people saying they were having a lot of bugs with the game. I never really experienced any of that, so I can't say that myself. But I didn't think it was a Dark Souls game with a difficulty slider. And I think if Dark Souls games actually had difficulty sliders, I think I would actually enjoy them more. And I totally get that's part of the experience is mashing your head up against the wall until you're just bludgeoning yourself and bleeding from the face. But that's not how I enjoy playing games. So I like the game. Like I didn't mind the gameplay of like Dark Souls games. I just don't like the if you're
Continual
not
death.
don't like torture porn.
Perpetual death.
But Jedi Fallen Order, has the same kind of play style, and it feels good. You got this lightsaber, whatever. You use the sword. You got the Force. You do all your things, and the story was good. It was good. It was awesome. It was a good Star Wars story in a time where Star Wars stories are kind of some hit and miss. Some episodes of The Mandalorian are great, some are not. Last Jedi. Some people like it, most people don't. This new movie, some people like it, some people don't. It's very hit and miss. But that game, I think, is an absolute hit. I think they do such a good job, and it's really cool to see a part of the story from that character's perspective and that character's world. Do I think they should make another one of these? I don't know. I don't even know what they would do with it. I think it's pretty good the way it is. But it does give me hope that maybe we will play some more good Star Wars games in the future, other than this one, other than Lego Star Wars. Something cool. Maybe we'll get that Bounty Hunter game that was teased long ago and then canceled. Maybe they'll resurrect that and do something cool with it. I don't know. But it did fill me hope with the series or for like the future of Star Wars games. And for that alone and the fact that it was a really, really fun and good game that I just couldn't put down, had to make Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order my favorite game of the year.
It's good. I heard it was good too.
It's a lot of fun. Definitely recommend it.
Although I did hear Battlefront 2 they started bringing back.
I've heard that they're trying to they're making it better again. But the problem with that game, there was the whole issue at launch that
it's a big issue.
The whole microtransaction stuff, and they did put microtransaction stuff in it, and I whatever that. My issue, because I ended up getting the game when it went on sale for like $10, right? My issue is that the game isn't fun. So unless they made the game fun, then there's no reason for me to start playing it again.
The game isn't fun. Son.
That's the core problem with the game is it's not a fun game.
Right.
It's like aiming doesn't matter. Aiming is or it doesn't feel like it matters. Power-ups seem kind of random. I don't get it. I don't have fun with it. Maybe I need to give it more of a shot. Maybe now it's better, but definitely didn't have that much fun when I played it before.
Did you like older Battlefront games?
Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront 2, on the OG Battlefront 2,
right,
is like one of my favorite games growing up. Like I had it on the PlayStation 2 and on the Xbox, and I would play it all the time. Like I think that Galactic Conquest mode was like one of the most fun modes to play.
So fun.
It's like space chess. I'm all about it. And not like the space chess they play on the ships in the Star Wars movie. I would like to play a video game on that just because I want to know how that game is played. But no, yeah. That Galactic Conquest was the best mode, period, for those games.
Me and my friend did it.
Yeah. I would do it all the time. Yeah, me and my friend would come over and we would we just do it.
Although my friend always played the droids and I had to play, the clone troopers. And the super
me and my buddy co-opted it.
Okay.
We'd be on the same team.
Yeah. So he would always have the super battle droid, and I was like, you do realize that robot is just extremely OP.
Yeah, because that wasn't in the time of balancing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's in the game. It's fucking great.
It's I had to do some weird tactics to win those matches, man. But story for another time.
But let's talk about movies, because that's another thing we talk about on this podcast a lot. What are some of the best movies you saw this year?
Okay, I looked through a couple. I feel like there's a couple I missed. And one of them I didn't have time to look up, but I'm pretty sure it was last year. But I put it in there because we had a podcast on it, and we both enjoyed the movie. So I'll go through the list. Joker, How to Train Your Dragon Hidden World, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, John Wick 3, Zombieland, Us, Queen and Slim, and Green Book. My movie of the year it's Joker. It was the most mentally stimulating for me. And you know I'm about that. You know I'm about that, player. I'm about that. And you know, unlike the last category, the one thing that I enjoyed the most about the movies this year is a lot of them do address societal issues, you know, and I just enjoy that. I enjoy that, you know, we're having a lot more conversations about mental health, you know, and from my perspective, I'm just kind of respecting it as kind of a serious issue, you know, like I'm like hearing numbers that are kind of like, I wish that wasn't true. I think the suicide rate for men, or no, just for people in general, has increased 50%. Like that's a lot, you know, and I think 80% of them are like men and stuff, and it's just good to feel like we're moving towards something more. There aren't a lot of healthy or sustainable or just do things that make sense, you know, and having these conversations and moving the needle is important to me, and I value very highly. So I just enjoy Joker for that, and what I felt like it brought forth, and you know, pretty much every movie on this list was pretty good movies, you know, and there was a lot to enjoy. There's a lot that people complained about, both about games and movies this year. But you know, like you usually say, it's not. I don't think it's that serious. You know, we do kind of have this vomit of outrage. You know, and sometimes it's like.
Well, it's because the reason is everyone. It always existed, but now everyone has a platform to say whatever they want at any point in time, and those opinions get like, you know, when you can hear everybody's opinion on something, then it's.
And then you have reacts of popular people, which I don't think existed back in the day the way it does today. Even if it did, it doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, it does, but like it was, you know, it was strictly for TV and radio, and it was only for like those personalities. And
yeah, and they were
you
probably
only got
like
it if you were listening to that TV and radio show.
Interviews
it's not like,
and such.
Yeah, and you can't just like, you couldn't just, you know, now you can literally just go online and see anything that had happened in the past day with pretty much anyone in the world, as long as they're posting about it, or you can recap things that happened in the past because you can watch a YouTube video on it or something like that. Like, you didn't have that luxury, that those conveniences back in the day. You just kind of had to be like, oh, well, I missed it, and I'll never know what they thought about it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a big reason why it feels like that, and it'll continue to feel like that until somehow technology devances, but it's not going to. So we'll always be in this thing where it feels like everybody is outraged for one reason or another, and sometimes it'll be warranted and sometimes it won't, and it's just kind of like doing your own research enough to realize if the outrage is warranted or not, you know.
And I'm kind of hoping that the whole mental health thing that I was pushing will put people in better positions, because I don't mind that people don't like things. It's more of the way how people express they don't like things, which is usually just vapid vomit, and there's no rhyme or reason. There's no collective, hey, this is how we can make it better. It's not constructive. It's just, I'm pissed off, and like, you know, that's fine sometimes, but like, you know, in today's day and age, it really does feel like all the time. You know,
yeah, well, because it's like first
like
nature type stuff.
Yeah, it's like Pokemon.
It's like like without seeing things through, or like it's guilty without proven innocent, essentially.
Right, and it's like there's so many things that like kind of came out, and I was like, nah, like, you know, like like I keep mentioning it, but like Pokemon was kind of one of those things where everybody was like, ugh, so disgusting, and I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
guys.
And then I played it, and I was like, yo, actually, this is like one of the best Pokemon games.
I was like, I don't know if I can get behind that, man. Like I get what they wanted, and I get how advanced they wanted it, but I was like, it's a Pokemon game though, brother. Like,
yeah, and like I said, it's still one of the best in the series from a storyline perspective. I mean, from convenience perspective, definitely from a music perspective. The music bangs hard. I think I mentioned that in our review, but I'll say it again. That music bangs hard, like real hard, like so good. And I'm so happy that like everybody who I talk to, one of the first things they say is like, yeah, the music in this game is pretty good. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Cool. So what you said of those, Joker would be your movie of the year?
Yeah, it's definitely my movie of the year. I was just not expecting to be that blown away. Like even like talking to you, I got new things about the movie. Talking to my friend Dave, I got new things about the movie. Talking to a friend Ashley about the movie. Talking to my friend Sean, and each person added their own unique perspective on the movie. Like you know, you were like, "Yo, like he's definitely I can't think of his name right now. What's Batman's dad? Bruce? Who's Bruce's dad? Why can't I think of his name?
I don't remember, but something Wayne. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, like how he was Joker's dad, and like there was like so many mixed feelings, and each person had their own unique twist that really warped the way I thought about the movie, and it just goes to show how twisted, like, it all was, and it just like the way it came together after I talked to everybody was like just a very, very unique experience. Like the visuals of the movie were outstanding, like the way they designed it, the way they like worded things, and how all that stuff just meshed together perfectly to where you're like, you leave the movie and you're so overwhelmed with all these different feelings and so on and so forth. It's just not usually an experience I have watching movies, and I was like, I laughed at all, like, ugh, and like it's just hard for a movie to make you feel that much, and really, like if you're like me, reflect and really process through what you think the message was about the movie and so on and so forth, and that's just that. But John Wick's good too, a good old blank, hack and slash movie, I guess. I don't know what other way to put it. Like that was good too. Like I love how simple that movie is, but how much it makes you just go, yeah, I like that. I like that.
It's just entertaining.
Right. There's so many unnecessary parts of the movie, so that definitely close second for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, there was a bunch of movies that we saw this year. I liked a good bit of movies. One that I liked and then didn't really think about again until I was just going through my list of movies that I watched this year, because I'm a crazy person and write down everything I watched, was Alita Battle Angel, which I really enjoyed. Like, that came out of nowhere for me. I did not expect to enjoy that movie as much as I did, but I did think it was a really good movie, so I wanted to mention it here. Endgame, Avi, very good. John Wick 3, as you mentioned, great movie. Invader Zim, Enter the Florpus, which is a movie that I didn't know I was going to get this year, and I'm very happy I did. I wasn't I was expecting to like it because I loved Invader Zim growing up, but I also was like, maybe Invader Zim humor did not age so well, but it did. It did age fine. Like, that show was the movie was pretty funny, and the animation, it was really cool. And if you know me, a big thing for me is quality of animation, and that'll be talked about later again a couple times on this list. The next movie I will talk about had great animation, Frozen 2. Thought Frozen 2 was really good. The more I think about Frozen 2, the more I like it more and I want to watch it again. My main issue with that movie was that everything kind of just happened, and there was no real, there weren't really consequences for the most part, and there was no real fight on everything. Like, it was like first try, everything's perfect, which that bothered me. But I thought the music was good. I thought the animation was real crisp. It looked really, really nice. And I thought it was a better story than the first one, and I really did enjoy the first one, so I had to mention it here. I was a big fan of Frozen 2, and I do actually think I need to see that one again. Another movie that I saw actually very recently, I saw this last night before I went to bed, Booksmart. Really, really funny movie. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie. It's like essentially Superbad, but with like these two girls. And it's hilarious. It was really good. Directed by Olivia Wilde.
Okay, yeah, I'll watch that movie.
Definitely. I watched it last night, and it was really funny. Like, I thought it was good. It was solid.
I think I would like that movie. Is it still in theaters or?
No, I watched it on I like bought it or rented it on my Xbox or whatever because I had like a gift card and I was like,
Okay.
I want to watch this. I'm going to watch this, which I might do tonight. I don't know with what, but I think I'm going to do that tonight again. Just watch something else that I haven't watched yet. Between Two Ferns, the movie on Netflix. I love the Between Two Ferns show. Big fan of the writer and creator of that show, which is Scott Aukerman. Big fan of Zach Galifianakis. The movie was hilarious and cringy, but like a good kind of cringe. I'm not a big cringe fan. I don't really like cringe thing, but it is always funny to watch celebrities when they're like asked uncomfortable questions, how they react. And granted, the show is all the movie's all staged. It's not like real, but it is very funny. Definitely recommend it. It's on Netflix. It's very funny. If you never watched the Between Two Ferns show, he interviewed Barack Obama on one episode. That's a pretty cool one. You should check that out. There's also a lot of episodes that he's interviewed that are really good. So definitely look into those. And then finally, my movie of the year for the second year. My movie of the year has come. That I've seen it in December of the year. Last year it was Into the Spider-Verse. I watched it 4 times in December. This one, sadly, I did not have the opportunity to watch it 4 times because that movie of the year is Promare. Now you might be like, what the heck is Promare? Well, Promare is an anime movie that came out twice in theaters in the States for 2 days at a time each time. It was released in November, had a 2-day run, did pretty well. They brought it back in December for another 2-day run. Oh my gosh, man. First of all, it is created by the people who, like the guy who makes Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill. And if you don't know me
already.
What?
I like him already.
If you don't know me, Gurren Lagann's one of my favorite animes.
Oh,
I'm actually wearing
one of the best of all time. Yeah.
I'm wearing my Simone hoodie right now. Yeah, it's amazing. And the main character of this is essentially Kamina. And my God, the animation is it's outer-worldly. It's so good. It's so good. Like, incredibly good animation. Really visual spectacle this movie is. Like, I mean, Into the Spider-Verse is still probably the best animation of all time. This is up there, man. This is good. And then the music is... What's up?
You're going to have to send that to me. Actually,
I'll send you the trailer. Yeah. The music is great. The animation is good. The movie is funny. It's very, like, especially if you like Gurren Lagann, I cannot stress this enough. You will enjoy this movie. And I love Gurren Lagann. It's one of my favorite animes. And this is one of my favorite movies. I love it. It's so silly and dumb and hilarious. And the character is an idiot. The main character is an idiot. And he's very aware that he's an idiot, but he doesn't give a crap. He just needs to get what he has to do done, and he's going to do it no matter what anyone has to say, and he will work with whoever he's got to work with as long as it gets done. And it's so good, and oh my gosh, it was great, and I can't stress it enough, and I really love that movie, and I am itching and waiting for the Blu-ray and DVD or whatever it is to come out, or my ability to get it on digital, because I want to watch that movie again so bad. And those are my movies of the year.
Okay. Before we go into the other stuff, I wanted to talk about some of the events that I thought were interesting this year. I didn't put everything known to man. I just put a couple that I feel like resonated with me. And we'll see if you have any after. Yeah, because I sprung it on you. And I was like, I kind of want to talk about this stuff. So the first one is Ninja leaving Twitch. You obviously know who Ninja is, right?
Yeah. I follow him on Mixer. I like, because it shows up on my Xbox all the time, and I'll just be like bored and like, I'll be like, all right, I'll watch Ninja play on Mixer for like an hour. I do it all the time.
So that's like a lot of implications that I think it will change the way streaming works and so on and so forth. So I'm like,
well, he was just the first big fish, since then.
Shroud and Purge and a lot of the other ones, and
this girl named Ewok, who was nominated for like Streamer of the Year at the Game Awards, so she's got to be pretty big. Like a lot of other streamers are seeming to be on their way.
I think that's who you're describing, Ewok.
No, Ewok is her name, not Pokimane. She's deaf, I believe. She's a pro Fortnite player. Like, she played in like the World Cup, but She's deaf. Like she
Okay.
can't hear at all. She's a streamer. I haven't watched too much of her stream. That's just what I gathered from what they talked about her in the Game Awards. But she, like I said, she got nominated for something, so she's obviously pretty good.
Right. So, it's just really interesting, and we're kind of in a weird space just because we do stream and we do our podcasts and we do our events and so on and so forth. So I'm just kind of really interested in where that's going. Then for me, it might be a revelation for me, but I would say Xbox Game Pass. I think it's kind of making strides. I think it's improving. I think it's getting better. I think its reputation is going up, and I noticed a big difference. All my friends seem to have it now, and they just continue to surprise me on what's actually on the Game Pass itself. And I'm like, well,
I bought a year last year for Christmas. It was like on sale, and I bought a year for one of my friends. I bought him a year Game Pass, and honestly, that was probably the best gift I bought anybody, because as the year went on, he was constantly like, "Oh, another game on Game Pass that I want to play. Oh, cool, this is on Game Pass." It's like the gift that keeps on giving, and every time I'm just like, "I did this. I did this for him. You're welcome."
And it was like, you did it for me too. You're like, "Hey, that game's on Game Pass. You might as well, dude." And I was like,
"Yeah, dude.
It's great. Okay, yeah. And then great. You do it, and then you gotta you have this giant library of games that you can play, and it feels like the future. All right, I'm not gonna lie. And it's rare to compliment.
Xbox it's obviously good because it forced PlayStation to change their service to essentially match it, but just be a worse version of it currently. It might be better eventually because PlayStation's got some good exclusives, but right now Game Pass takes the
killing it, man. It is killing it, and I was like, I'm still impressed. And I was like, if I have more time and I was about that life, like the fun would never end.
Yeah. And I am about that life and do have a lot of time that I just spend doing nothing, playing video games, and Game Pass is great for that. I have played half of these games on this list are due to Game Pass. Like Outer Worlds, Game Pass. Void Bastards, Game Pass. DMC5 is on Game Pass. I didn't play it because of Game Pass. Slay the Spire, Game Pass. I was going to play it anyway, but it was on Game Pass. Untitled Goose Game, which I didn't write down, is on Game Pass. There's a good selection of games on there.
Right.
You said Gears 5, Game Pass.
Yep. This feels like the coming of Netflix, for
Blockbuster. This is right. This is like the rise of the game Netflix, I think.
Right. And I'm sold. They scared me with all the only games are digital, and you're kind of like, but can I share? And then they're like, yes, you can. And I'm like, you guys are learning. And I appreciate that, I'm also an Xbox fan. So I mentioned that, they revealed the next Xbox. I don't think there's a whole lot of information about it, but I'm excited. I've always been an Xbox fan, even through Xbox has nothing fan. Okay, cool. They're still my favorite.
Listen, I think I'm an Xbox. I was an Xbox fan through proximity. Most of my friends had Xboxes, so I was like, I'll be an Xbox guy. But what I will say, and now that I own an Xbox and a PS4 and a Switch, the Xbox is the most convenient console to navigate through. It's a little clunky at first, but once you understand it, because there's stuff all over the place, it's really overwhelming. Right. But once you understand it, it's really smooth and it's a really easy navigation. You can find everything fairly easy and streamlined, and it's just a really good entertainment system box.
Right.
The PlayStation has probably better exclusive games. Oh, and I think the games for some reason tend to run better on the Xbox, at least on mine because I got the One X. But the PlayStation has better exclusive games, but man, do I think the layout of the PlayStation is bland and boring. I absolutely hate scrolling through my PlayStation, and I don't know what I'm doing half the time. And that could just be because maybe I haven't taken the time to learn it like I did with the Xbox or whatever. But I am not as big of a fan of using my PlayStation as I am using my Xbox.
Right. in general, I think you're right. There is a learning curve, although the game's library specifically, like
Mhm.
adding and removing games, they should probably rethink that a little bit. There's a lot of people who get confused, and I've seen tons of
Who,
people.
Xbox or?
Xbox, yeah. Like once you know how to do it, it's not that difficult. But there's so many people that I've actually
Mhm.
watched on a stream or so on and so forth who are experiencing for the first time, and they're like, "Ah!" like rage inducing. I was like,
Mhm.
I get it because I was actually there like once or twice, and it's not like 100% clear sometimes. Like, did I delete that? Or is that still playable? So like the way
Mhm.
that part's organized, I feel like they should work through it a little bit. And then the menus aren't as fast as I want them to be, you know. And that's my new. I'm definitely nitpicking because it's still better
Mhm.
than everything else. Because I think Xbox does a better job with its social dynamics. Whether
Mhm.
it be
Yeah,
like
like the
parties
chat
and
game,
and
yeah,
all that.
party,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's just better.
I think that is a million times better than the
Oh,
PlayStation. I don't.
yes.
I don't understand the party system on the PlayStation like for crap.
It, yeah. So they're really great at that, but yeah. The next thing I wanted to talk about, just because it's a general conversation, it definitely something that was in the zeitgeist as this year went through. We both kind of mentioned it when we were talking about the movies or games that we like this year, which would be like the conditions of AAA companies and the sense of like what's going on with the specific companies. So I'm gonna wrap it all because this is a big topic. But
Mhm.
just to give you an idea of like what I'm getting at is like you have all the major companies like EA, Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, Blizzard, and so on and so forth. You have all the controversies that happen. So it's like the Overwatch dev like overwork for like Fortnite and things of that nature. You got Bungie
Mhm.
leaving Activision. You have the Hong Kong incident. You have Heroes of the Storm, esports kill. Like there's just so many things that happen this year, and how people feel about the games themselves. A lot of personalities that I listen to are like, this game, this year for games has just been terrible, and like I haven't really been able to enjoy all these different things. Fortnite's waning popularity. I feel like at the beginning of the year everybody's like Fortnite, and now we're
The problem with Fortnite is its popularity solely they're ruining that game themselves, which is that's a whole issue on its own. But like Fortnite's popularity, excuse me, stems from updates, like content updates and battle pass seasons. So right now, they just released the biggest content update they ever have with season 2, as they completely changed the map and everything like that. But then stopped updating like patch notes. They would patch the game, but they wouldn't tell you what, which messes with creators, which messes with players. You know that causes a stir. And then the battle pass was supposed to be over before Christmas, and they extended it until February. So now there's players like me who I'm still a big fan of Fortnite, but I'm level 200. I don't want to play Fortnite. There's nothing, I'm not getting anything out of playing Fortnite right now. Like, does that mean I just play for like the skins and moving through the battle pass? Sometimes, yeah, I can definitely say I do. But the it's more fun when you have something to work towards, And now that I feel like I have nothing and I've had nothing for so long, it just makes me not want to play the game as much. And Fortnite will be popular again until something can shut it up for good. But I don't think anything is going to shut it up for good this year. I think the thing that had the best chance to do it was Apex, and they kind of shot themselves in the foot. And I don't think they did it like on purpose, but it did kind of happen that way. And that kind of ruined Apex. And there's always chance for Apex to have like some sort of revival, but I don't think it's going to happen. And
right.
so it has to be something completely original and new. And it's just really tough. It's really tough to come up with a multiplayer sensation. So I do think that Fortnite will remain tops bluebies until at least next year. I still think it'll be fairly popular this coming year in 2020.
I think where they messed up, seeing how we're talking about it, is the way they divided the competitive scene versus the casual scene. I think that the game, it was
Are you
like
talking
in
about like
beta.
skill-based matchmaking?
Correct. Like that took too long.
No,
And
I think skill-based matchmaking. And that's another thing that like it doesn't bother me so much because I'm not very good at the game. So I get matched with other people who are not very good at the game, and I usually can do okay. But I understand why anyone who is actually good at the game would not want skill-based matchmaking, because it makes the game less fun for them. And I get that. Because,
sure.
like, yeah, you can't pub stomp. Like, I guess, like, people are like, you just get good, you play against the people, your own thing. But it's when you play at such a high level, it's a completely different game. If I had to play that game as a top player all the time, it would not be fun for me. Like, it would not. I totally get that. And that's what's alienating the crowd a lot too.
Right. And like, it's vice versa too. Like, you don't really want to enter a game to where, somebody's foreheading you before you even pick up a gun. That was like my issue with the game. It was like, they're like, okay.
But I didn't feel like that happened too much.
Oh, dude, every time I played the game, it was like, I'd fall in. We'd even fall in like very neutral spots because Alvin was
that's what I'm saying. If you drop in like secluded areas, I normally don't have to fight anybody until later.
Right, but that's like worse to me because then I spent 15 minutes or 10 minutes
just walking
around hitting things.
But for shooting and stuff like that, I use other modes to get better. Like there's Team Rumble. I drop in there, and where it doesn't matter if I die, so I just kind of get used to how the guns work, how they feel, and how to defend myself, and then I use those skills in the regular game. But like I said, I get it from both ways. I get if you like skill-based matchmaking because you feel like you stand a chance the first time you put in the game. I get if you don't like skill-based matchmaking because you've been playing the game for 2 years now, and it was fun when you could, play against people of all different skill levels, and maybe the last person you played against, the last person in the game would be really good, and it would be, you'd have that moment there. But when everybody in the game you come against is really good and you have to play every game like it's a finals World Cup game, that's not fun. I would totally not enjoy that.
Every other competitive sport does that. But from my perspective, it's like, if I'm going to learn how to play basketball, I do not want to man up against LeBron James. I don't want to do it. You will kill my motivation if his goal is to put his nuts on my forehead while he dunks it on my face.
Well, that's the thing. You don't line up against LeBron James every game. You'll get at him maybe once every 50 games, and you'll be like, oh, okay, that's LeBron James. What are you going to do?
Right, but I don't want that experience. Who's gonna want to play basketball when they get humiliated the first time they try to oh, there's a gun, I finally got one, and then it's dude jumps out of nowhere, blasts you in the head with a pump shotgun when it was a little overpowered, and you died, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, then he runs over your body, and then he dances on it,
and do another one,
and then it happens again. Literally, it happened maybe 5 or 6 times, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to even a more secluded area, and then we would just beat stuff. Then we get to the end, and that team would crush us. And I go, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems like because I played the game. I started late into the fun of the game, and I didn't really have that issue.
Did you play on PC too, or
no? I play on consoles.
Yeah, that was some of it too. Is I feel like more sweaties were on PC for sure.
Yeah, probably.
And so when I played,
but now the two things are linked, which is even worse.
Yeah.
Because I don't think PC and controllers should be linked for any game, because that's two completely different ways of playing, and it's a different way of aiming, different way of everything. I don't think any game you should have crossplay with PC and console. Unless it's a simply PvE game. Anywhere where there's competitive nature of it, there should be no crossplay.
I would agree with you if some of the better players of the game didn't use controllers and were capable of competing with some of the top players in the game.
Yeah, but how many of those yes, you're right, they are capable of competing. Did any of them actually win, though?
Yeah, there were 2 or 3 players that are really, really good, and people don't disrespect them. So
yeah, but 2 or 3 out of it, let's say Fortnite, for example, is 100 people in the game in the one game. So of the top 100, 3 good controller players, 97%.
Those are just the big popular people. I'm sure there's people in that group that do qualify in those
Let,
situations.
let,
I just don't
I'm gonna.
have the
I'm actually
knowledge
gonna.
'cause I
I'm
actually
gonna
don't
look it up
care
right
for
now. How many controller
competitive.
players
Okay.
qualified for Fortnite? Do. It doesn't say specific. It says one of the players in the duos thing that got second place was a controller player, but it doesn't say how many people were controller players.
Right. It was good enough for the PC players to complain about some of the aspects of people who play with controller, such as aim assist. People would complain about that and how much of a disadvantage PC players are when someone can point a controller, roll a controller stick and get some aim assist when it comes to that, So, I mean, if it's enough to make some of the best players in the world that are highly respected complain about it, such as Ninja and so on and so forth, and them complain about them having an unfair advantage, I think it was significant enough that they were competitive. Did you have any other opinions about, the whole overworking devs and games like Fortnite and
I mean, it's
Blizzard?
bad. Don't
Yeah.
do that, but it's gonna happen anyway. So,
but it is what it is.
it's bad. But I guess I don't work there, so whatever. But
Right.
it's not good. Shouldn't overwork people. Period. But
Right.
that's what happens when something becomes big and long. It doesn't go away. That's when the games as a service thing. These games don't go away, so you have to constantly be working on them. And there's constantly people playing them that are going to find errors, and you got to fix them before the next time,
Right. So, okay, not too much for that. I was a little sad when Heroes of the Storm lost its esport kind of arena. That was kind of sad, in a lot of senses. And kind of a precursor of like how I feel esports is kind of gonna go through a correction in the future. I just recently found a guy who talks about a lot of the industry and like how it's formed and some of the problems that we have with esports right now. And basically, he's like, there's just too much money in the system. Basically, a bunch of people think they're going to get rich super fast, so all this money comes in, and then to acquire talent, you kind of have to keep raising the amount of money that you pay them in order to keep them. And so you find this through we have inflated salaries for players, and the viewer base essentially is there. It's just the way people are trying to design the system doesn't work. We're all gamers. In truth, we're all in our own houses playing our games with friends. And if you're like me, and even you, because I think you enjoy it, or some good couch co-op, then you don't mind the camaraderie of being around other people. But there's the mass majority of people are in their own rooms in front of their own computer screens playing video games. And when you kind of try to create a scenario to where you're trying to make people travel for something that's usually rather expensive, a lot of the times to get in these venues, it's like upwards of $70, and that's like not even competing, so that like the tickets are really high and the viewership isn't quite there. And so, there are going to be these corrections to where we overinvested in the esports scene and some of the salaries and some of how much money is infused in the system needs to correct. And we need to kind of have these small scale community built things before we go to this mass stadium size, thing. Because like, even the LCS fills that arena maybe like once a year during the playoffs and so on and so forth. And the guy talks about like the dilemma of like the talent all being in one place, that you constantly see the same matches over and over and over. The certain teams are going to be in certain places, and he used to own part of a CLG, and I respect his opinion, so it's like, it's interesting, obviously, because me and the other MMG members do deal with this industry. So, I thought it was just kind of interesting thing to bring up. Not really a whole lot to comment on. It's just, this might be the beginning of some correction. So then this circular argument always pops up within the space of, video games causing violence. Your quick 5-minute spiel on why that's nonsense, real quick, maybe, possibly.
Oh, it's nonsense because it is. Like, how many people like video? First of all, video games have been around for longer than violence, and why would it just be video games? If it was violence in media, you got to extend it to TV, which is sometimes even more gruesome than video games, or movies, or anything of that nature. But that's not what causes violence. Like it. I have killed so many people in video games, and never once have I wanted to go outside and even like punch a person. I don't like hitting people. I don't like video games doesn't cause violence. It's a ridiculous thought. It's just like it's someone's got to be the blame, and it can't be the shooter, and it can't be the gun. So it's got to be the video games that they play, and that's basically what it is. It's always been that. Angry music causes violence. Eminem causes violence. Ozzy Osbourne causes violence. You know, it is what it is. It's dumb, but it'll continuously rear its head in all the time because there's dumb people in charge, and they're like, yeah, no, this is totally true. It's like, hyper religious people who think that being gay makes you a lesser person. Like, nah, it just means you like the same kind of people, like people with the same equipment that you have. Like, that's it. That's all it is. You're no different. It's all good.
Been around since the beginning of time.
Yep.
You can find it in pretty much every culture. It just is what it is, man.
It is what it is. Yeah, exactly. Same with video games. Like, there's violent video games. There's non-violent video games. There's like, Stardew Valley. Video games are terrible. They're all violent. Stardew Valley, come on, get out of here. Get out of my face. Slime Rancher. Tell me how violent that game is. Minecraft. You punch trees. Oh boy.
Collect things.
Yeah.
So finally, because this is like something that I don't know. I keep bringing up with our conversations because I really think it's one of those things that's like the future, which would be. I'm gonna mention the scenario. I do not remember the name of the team that created this mod, but there's the Master Chief Collection released to PC. Originally, there was a group of individuals who created a mod, so all the games ported over, and they had their own little universe and so on and so forth, and they launched it, and everybody was happy. We were all hyped. Yeah, we can play it. And then they started banning streamers, and they sent a whole bunch of cease and desist, and they just killed the momentum of the game itself. And we're like, it's our property, and we had something planned for that. And like, guys, like, you're killing your game's future. You just are. Like, the Reach release was like, it seemed like a couple people played it. It seemed like it was kind of exciting to a degree, but it definitely waned. And I feel like they killed a lot of the momentum that they did have because, as we talked about it in the past, it was one of those things that they could give a relatively really small sum of money just for good nature. Hey, you guys did a bunch of work. We'll take it from here. Like, and I don't think people would be mad at that because that's definitely what the modders wanted. Hey, we just love your game and we want to play it on PC. This is the way we want to do it. We'll give you all the work we did. Just let us play on console. Here's all the work. And they just no. And it just really left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I get it. It's your product, but like when people go out of their way to put that much time and effort on making what you have better, and you can't adopt that better, there's like an issue. There's a problem.
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying, but there's a whole lot of legal issues that go with that too. So it does not surprise me, like that would happen. No,
it's not surprising. It's just not smart. It's not a good business decision.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a bad business decision. You can't, because then where do you draw the line?
When they try to sell your product.
But that's the thing. It's not even that they're selling the product. They're altering the product to be used in a different way and breaking this, like, fucking with the source code, which is something they're not supposed to do. Like, I get it. I understand why people would be upset, and I get like modders and stuff. But like, if a company doesn't want their game modded, then that's just what it is. Like, sorry. Some companies are totally open to it. Look at Bethesda. Some companies are not. Look at apparently Microsoft. So it doesn't.
Nintendo and every AAA.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
you know, they destroy a lot of really good projects, and a lot of people get upset, and they just kind of ruin what people like. And
Well,
it's
yeah,
like,
because they want people buying their product and not just using this.
well, that's what I'm saying. Most of the people who do those projects are willing to give their work for free. They just want something they enjoy. And when you squash it, even when they're willing to give it for free, because most of them are just like, I just love this. And this is how I improved upon it. This is how I added my own little random story. You can have it. Just let the people who want to experience it. And they're like, nah. And there's like tons of games that Nintendo does that with, to where people are like super excited. They have this giant and there's a bunch of people who reach their hand in, they play it, it's great, and then they shut down, and they're like, why? You know, we weren't charging, we weren't doing this. You can have it for free.
It's
you
just
can charge for it even.
It's just some people don't like their properties being altered or messed with. I totally get that. If I wrote a book or a movie or something, right, and I'm really proud of that, and a lot of people really like it. And some people want to do their own fan theories and stuff, and like, this is my idea for the sequel, and then they create their own sequel of my movie. No, eat my butthole. Like, I created this movie. No,
yikes.
I like this. Like, no, like, if I created this, I should have control over where it goes. Like, sure, you could do your own fan thing or whatever, but no, like, I'm going to be kind of upset if someone's just like, I'm going to make this better than you. Like, screw you for saying yours is better than me.
Well, sometimes it's not about making better. Sometimes it's just expanding. So they didn't make Halo better. They just ported it to the PC and made it run efficiently. That was it. That was all they did.
Yeah, but they had plans to do that themselves, which they did. And then, you know, they would have been out a lot of money if they would have just let that go free.
Well, they said they were in the work, but it took several months afterwards. And if they picked up where they left off, a lot of that work would have already been done. So, like, sure, to some degree. But in a lot of the senses, I think I only respect your argument when people start to try to sell it. Then it's bad. You know, it's like buying a car and modding it. Like, cool, if I try to sell it, even though you can do that with a car, you can make upgrades to it and sell it so it's not stock and so on and so forth. There's like lots of things you can do in that's totally legal. In this situation, I agree with you that they shouldn't be able to modify, you know, someone's creative project and then sell it for a profit. But if just people coming together and go like, oh, you know,
yeah, I think for personal use, I don't see a problem with it. I see is when you start distributing it, even if you're not
Correct.
selling it, even if you're not.
Well,
but no, even if you're not selling it, if you're distributing it, no, because you're like, it's not the way the thing was meant to be experienced or played or whatever it was. I like this can sound, you might think this sounds bootlicking or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to come off as that, but if somebody's trying to sell their thing a certain way and maybe they have plans to do a certain thing, then let them do their thing. Like, I totally get fan-made games. I get them, but I also get them getting shut down because that's gonna happen. You know what you're getting yourself into. All of these people know what they're doing. They're never like, oh, no way, you shut me down? Like, no. You know what you're doing. You know what's going to happen. And then you do it, and then you're like, I can't believe this happened. Like, no. You do believe this is happening. This is what was always going to happen. I guess I can see what you're saying. Like, you don't like it, and I get that.
Well,
but from these business perspectives, there's never going to be a chance where they don't do that.
Well, I mean, there's several situations to where, like, I feel like, number one, it's quite normal for human beings to improve on what already exists. You know, that's why patents exist. You know, that's how they collect on those situations and not kill the right to profit from an idea and so on and so forth. And if that exists, you know, like, it's just in our nature as human beings to improve on what someone's done before us. And so now we're getting this weird space to where I understand that there's some abstract ideas on how to approach this specific space, but it's just the nature of human beings. And it's no different than music, to where someone gets inspired by someone else, and then all of a sudden they can't use certain rhythmic tunes and so on and so forth because it sounds too much like another person's thing. And so, half the time it sounds nothing like it, and you have to really pay attention to where the sounds come from to really do that. And these things get super complicated, and most people don't even know if things are actually sampled or not, and so you find yourself with these situations to where you have some of your favorite artists, music wise, who can't release music because one little sound was possibly used from certain types of things, and it's just the creative spirit in the world being crushed because usually ego. And that's the problem with me. It's usually ego.
I agree with that, but at the same time, like, I get it. I agree with everything you're saying. I think you were right. I think it's crappy. But especially when it comes to something as big as the music or as now the video game industry, it is what it is. Like, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know who you're dealing with. If you know that the company is going to be like super against what you're doing, then you got to keep that between you and your boys and your secret Reddit subreddit or whatever. You can't let this news get out to everybody, because then you will be in legal trouble yourself, because these big fish don't give a crap. They don't care. Oh man, look how some of the people who work there are probably like, wow, that's really cool what they did. That's really awesome. But the people at the top are like, nah, that's not cool. And they have money that we can take now, or something of that nature. So I get it. I agree with you. I wish it was more open, but it's not. And I don't think that, like, I don't know. I don't see a problem with it not being open, but I wish it was more open, I guess, like more open source. But the problem is, like I said, a lot of people don't like their works being altered and stuff like that. And I totally get that as well.
All right, man. But that's all I got. There's definitely more in this year's stuff, but, just a couple things that I kind of wanted to touch on about what I thought was really interesting this year.
One thing we didn't touch on too much, and it might be small, you might not even have anything, but was there any shows in 2019, either seasons of shows, or you watched the whole show, or anime, whatever, that you wanted to bring up that you thought were really good?
Just one. Although I think My Hero Academia did come out with another season. I don't know how I missed that. I was looking for it when I thought it did come out, but I didn't see it on the site that I actually watch it on. Watch all my anime. But yeah, I saw some videos of people fighting, and I was like, oh yeah, it definitely did once somebody brought it to my attention. So I imagine that I'll like that. But the only one I can think of right now is Black Clover.
Okay.
Just really phenomenal.
Cool.
It starts off a little weird and then really starts to get good as things go on, and kudos to Black Clover. It's improving. It's better, and I enjoy it. But that's the only one.
Cool. There's a few I wanted to bring up. First, the half season of BoJack Horseman that has come out. This is the final season going on right now. Really good stuff. I don't know if you're a fan of BoJack Horseman. Very good show. This season's doing a good job of kind of I don't know what to say exactly, but BoJack is starting to feel a lot more likable. He's a likable character because he's very funny and he's enjoyable and he's the star of the show, and that's the whole point. But he's also a complete asshole and like the scum of the earth and just an absolutely horrible garbage person, or horse, I guess, horseman. But he's starting to come to grips and really putting a lot of effort into being a better person in this first half of the second season. And although he still has a lot of people who resent him for all of the terrible things he's done, and rightfully so, he's done really, really awful things, it's good to see him come around. And I think the show's it's just really good. It's a really good show. It's one of my favorite shows, and I'm very excited to watch the last half season. Another one, this is another Netflix show. That is, I will quote. I probably quote this show like all day. I love this show. It's so short. It's such an easy to watch show. It's called I Think You Should Leave. It's a sketch comedy show on Netflix. and it's absolutely hilarious. It's so dumb. It's so stupid. It's outrageous. It's so funny. It is incredible, and it takes about an hour to watch the whole show that's been out so far, the first season. Highly recommend it. It's just, if you watch the first episode and it's not for you, I totally get it, because it's dumb. It's so stupid. Like, but that's what's funny about it. It's just like super dumb, enjoyable garbage, and I love every second of it. And I can't wait for season 2 coming in 2020, because I just need more things to quote, because there's only so many times I could say just stuff from the show without just, I just need more stuff. I need more material, but it's so good. And the best show, save for best for last for 2019, and probably the best show, in my opinion, of all time, and that's Mr. Robot. And I think Mr. Robot is a show that once it eventually gets put on Netflix, which I think will happen in the future at some point, will gain that real second wind of popularity, because I do think it's the best, probably the best put together show of all time. And I mean, I say that as a fan, but I say that as just like, it's really well made, and it's an incredible show. Really good look on mental health and people who really suffer from mental health, such as the main character. So you mentioned that earlier. I figure maybe you can get some enjoyment out of this show.
Oh, dude,
Very
I love
good.
Mr. Robot. It's just one of those things.
I look like Baker Mayfield. I don't know what that means, but okay. A guy, the Browns suck. Scum. Okay. I don't watch the Browns, so great. But anyway, yeah, Mr. Robot, really good. Highly recommend the 4th season. The 3rd season was my favorite season of television of all time. I think the 4th season's better. So many really just perfect episodes. There's one episode where they only say 2 like statements in it. It's at the very beginning. Darlene says to Elliot, we don't have to talk right now. And at the very end, a character says to another character, I think it's about time we talked. And there's no dialogue throughout the rest of the episode, like through voice. There's like text communication every now and again, but no actual dialogue. I think it's really good, really well shot episode. The music in that show, I know I say this a lot, but the music in that show was incredible, so good. Everything. Perfect. Really good. One of and especially after this year having Game of Thrones, a show that everybody beloves as one of the best shows of all time, which is not, because the last 2 seasons were kind of garbage. When you get that 8th season, it left such a bad taste in everybody's mouth, myself included, that it really made me worry for Mr. Robot, that I was like, oh man, this is not going to be good. And it lived up to the hype. It was a very good show. And it just it filled me with hope again, that like, oh man, good endings can still exist. Yeah. So
I agree. I love the parts that I did watch, but
yeah, it's good. I highly recommend getting back into it. Highly. Like, I can't say it enough, but I totally get it. There's not enough time in the world to watch all the good things that exist in the world, but Mr. Robot is, in my opinion, the best show on television, period.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it'll once it gets its second win from Netflix or Hulu or whatever it is, it'll probably be Netflix, because Hulu is pretty second nature, and it's already on Amazon Prime, but you know, most people with Amazon Prime don't even realize they have it, so I don't see many people really watching it on there. So yeah, once it gets put on Netflix and it's like one of those featured things and people are like, Mr. Robot, I've heard about this, and then they watch it, they're like, oh my god, what a great show!
Oh goodness!
Although maybe not, because it doesn't really lend itself to binging so well, because it's super heavy at a lot of times. So like after an episode or 2, I like can't watch it, because I just need to like decompress.
No, I watched like 7 episodes in a row.
Yeah,
and then I think you said I ended right at the first season, and I forgot what happened. I think maybe my wife was deployed again. Something happened, and then I just didn't have the time to watch it anymore. And then it was like everything else. But I mean, you also get inundated with everything else. So it could have just been like, you know, my attention getting sucked into something else.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to or rather, those are the shows that I liked in 2019. Let's talk about, because I think that's all about 2019. I don't really have anything else. Is there anything else you want to bring up?
No, we're good.
So let's talk about looking forward to 2020. Is there anything that you're looking forward to in 2020, whether it be from a personal perspective, art, music, movies, video games? Is there anything that you're really looking forward to on the horizon?
The new Xbox. The other thing would be the new Ori and the Blind game. I think is coming out this coming year.
Yeah, it comes out March, I think. Around
Um,
March. Like I said, dude, there's a lot of games dropping in March. March is going to be rough
there
in a
was
good way.
also. Ooh, did I lose it? Well, there's a Final Fantasy remake. Although I keep my hype like really low for that. I'm expecting to be disappointed. I'm gonna buy it, but I'm expecting to be disappointed. I'm ready for it. Even though everybody's like, yeah, you see the latest trailer? So great. I'm still like, nah, I'm still waiting to be disappointed. D4, if it does come out next year, I don't remember.
What is D4?
Diablo 4. I don't remember getting specifics.
No. They didn't say a date. That's not coming out for a while.
Right,
They specifically said, like, when they asked, like, oh, when is it coming? And they're like, you know how we normally say coming soon and it takes a long time? This is coming later than coming soon. So that's not that game. Diablo 4 is probably, we're not going to see that until like 2022, maybe even further.
But yeah, that's exciting. They have the Druid for that one, so for the future, yeah. And then next would probably be just where the esports goes. Like I mentioned earlier, I really think there is going to be some corrections on how the industry works and where all the money is, and we'll see some interesting things, I think, here soon. I'm not sure if the corrections soon, though, to be honest. Even though I just said it was soon, I gave it a little bit more thought. Like, there's a lot of hype behind it, and people really do still think that it's going somewhere, and it'll be something. Just the time frame of when that comes is really the hard part. And then, a lot of the times they're not focusing on what matters, which is building narratives, making, kind of room for it, So it's like the Overwatch League happened, and they were so PC on how the players could act, and it's like you kind of need the personalities to shine. That's what make all these leagues what they are.
Yeah, you could be a personality without saying things that are offensive to people. Like every other sport does it. Like, and when people in other sports say, and when they say that, especially in today's climate, they get called out for it. Like, you don't see too many people,
There's quite a few that get away with it.
So it's they get called out pretty hard. Specifically, like they get away with it maybe, but I think, like, you can be a jerk without being offensive. You just got to watch the words you say. Like, you can be annoying and you can be toxic and be funny without being offensive. Like, Donkey, I think, does a good job of it. Never does Donkey say something I'm like, whoa, that's a little, like, a step too far. Where he says, like, he'll say, like, awful things about either a game or a person or something like that, specifically, like, in his league videos or something. But never a point where I'm like, oh, that's just, like, whoa, boy. Like, it's all just like, oh, this is, like, so obnoxiously ridiculous that it's kind of funny. He's not like, like, you're an N-word, you crazy dumb N-word, or like, you're a, FAGGOT, like, bro, like, come on, like, that's not even funny. Like, that's just, oh, dude, like, sweet. Like,
I think
edge. Like, you can be funny and toxic and annoying. Like, I deal with toxic people all the time in Rocket League, and I only report them if they do something like egregiously, like, offensive.
I don't think a lot of PC is good. I think you do need the people that the heels. You do need them.
Yeah, but like I said, you could be a heel without being offensive. Wrestling is you said heel, wrestling is perfect of that. There are so many heels in WWE and wrestling in general, whether it be New Japan or whether it be AEW or NXT or anything of that nature, that they play the heel character without having to be like, say derogatory things. That's basically where it comes from. Derogatory things. You can be an asshole and you can be disliked without being a complete shit human being.
I mean, I'm not advocating for that, but
That's the
I
ones
did think,
the personalities that were getting banned were banned for saying like hate speech and stuff like that. Like no,
XQC
yeah, XQC
wasn't.
was saying yes, he was.
I don't think he was saying super derogatory things. I think
He was definitely saying like FAGGOT a lot. He is not like he definitely says a lot of derogatory terms, and maybe they might seem less derogatory when you're like, but I'm a gamer and people say this stuff in games all the time. Like, no, it's still a derogatory term, bro. Just use another word. Oh, this shit's lame. Oh, this shit sucks. Like, it's very easy. It's not hard. Oh, this is dumb. I don't like this. You know, oh, this is retarded. Oh, this is so gay. Like, no, screw you, dude. You can be a personality and you can be a bad person and you don't have to be a derogatory like.
I'm not saying you have to be, but I think in a lot of senses it's both good for business and it's also what I feel like a fair amount of people do like.
You alienate people when you do that as well. You think it's good for business, but you're bringing in the wrong crowd and you're alienating the people who are actually going to try and spend money on your crap.
That's kind of true. Like Trump, I think, is like a good example, and I'll just leave it at that because that kind of stands alone. It's like, yes, there's a large amount of people who do subscribe to that element, and it does represent us as a people, and you know, I get it. But it does exist, and you know, like and it's everywhere. I don't really want to go down the tangent and so on and so forth. But I do think we need to let people be people, and hopefully we convince them to be better people. But authentic is actually the word I'm looking for.
I mean, I think it's fine to let people be people, but I think there should definitely be repercussions for it.
Yeah, in some situations. I'm not advocating that people use the N-word and so on and so forth. I also want to clarify there. Like, I'm not rooting for that. But I think we can get a little too PC. I think you can go a little too far. But those are just the things, you know. Hopefully, we just get better stories. And, you know, we kind of build the competition in a good way.
Word. Yeah. Anything else in 2020, or is that sums it up for you?
That sums it up for me. That was the last part.
Word. So some things I'm looking forward to in 2020. You mentioned it, the Xbox Series X, which, by the way, I must say, awful name. And whoever comes up with the names at Microsoft really needs to stop coming up with names, because they're really good at coming up with like project names. Because Project Scarlet was a sexy name. I was like, oh, I'm cool with Xbox Scarlet, like a red Xbox or something with like a red X on it. I think that'd be super hype. That would be dope. No, we get the Xbox Series X. Come on, bro. That's a dumb name. You go from the Xbox to the Xbox 360, already a jump that doesn't really make too much sense, but whatever. Then everyone's like, okay, the next one might be 720. Nope, wrong. Xbox One. Excuse me. What do I call the first Xbox? You just call it an Xbox. You call this one an Xbox One. Why? I don't know. Whatever. Then we got the Xbox One S, which is just an upgraded Xbox One. I get that. Same with the Xbox One X. I get that to an extent. Not great names, but still. But now you have the Xbox Series X, which sounds too much like the Xbox One X, and it's going to get a lot of grannies confused around Christmas, is what I'm saying. Like, come up with better names, make your names different, and make your names more fun than let's just throw the letter X in it somewhere. More X's.
Okay, so there was like a bunch of branding decisions there. They were in a hard place because they were always going to be a number behind PlayStation, and a lot of people's minds.
And like, that's sure. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, they were never like, if they went Xbox 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sure, I get that to an extent. However, the brand. Series X is a dumb name. It is just a dumb name. Like, there's not much to say. Like, it doesn't sound like something I would want to buy.
So
like that, and
it doesn't even sound like a console either.
It doesn't sound like a console. It sounds like a version of a console.
But technically, it looks like a PC. Yeah, it looks like a PC.
Yeah, I don't like the way it looks either. I think it looks bad too. That's neither here nor there. I'm sure it'll run great. I'm sure it'll have a great inside. But it sounds dumb and it looks dumb, which is not the best thing, but I am still excited for it because I think it'll be a good console. But man, somebody there they have got to get new, which is crazy
they're
because
rocking a hard place, man.
the Xbox One X is such a beautiful, sleek looking console. I absolutely love this console. I think it looks so good. Same with the One S. I think they look so good the way they are. It looks really good in an entertainment setup. Like, it looks really nice. Xbox Series X will not fit on most entertainment setups because most people don't play their consoles at a computer desk because it's so large and in charge and silly looking and whatever. It is what it is. I'm still excited for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking crap on it, but I'm talking crap out of love. I still love this thing. But man, I can't. The thing is, like, I'm going to buy the first one and then I'm going to regret it in a year when they're like, here's the good looking version of this console with a regular name. And I'm like, why didn't you do that a year ago, Xbox? Why couldn't you? It's always what happens. You buy the dumb, ugly, big, chonky Xbox One and you're like, man, this thing looks terrible. And then like a year later, like, here's the sexy version. You're like, well, cool. I mean, I guess I got to roll with the old and busted and not the new hotness.
That's me.
Yeah. See, I had to eventually upgrade to the new hotness because my old and busted was old and busted. It's too big and clunky.
Yeah, I don't have the power creep. Although I was kind of close, especially when Game Pass came out, and then it's like it feels like you can only fit 2 games on it, and if you're not smart,
I have
external.
An external. Yeah, always buy an external.
Then I was like, I don't know what won't. I won't do it. I don't know why.
Buy an external?
Yeah, I just won't.
They're not even expensive anymore.
I know.
I bought one for my buddy for Christmas because we were talking. He was like, I was like, well, what games are you playing these days? And he was like, oh, well, I'm playing this and this, but it sucks because Red Dead is so big, and I've been playing Red Dead, but I want to play these other games, but I can't because I can't install them because Red Dead takes up like my entire hard drive worth of space. And I was like, bro. And literally the next day, I sent him like as soon as we got off the phone, I bought him a 2 terabyte hard drive just to be like, dude, install your games, have fun with your fucking games.
I just won't. I won't. I'd rather delete. And then
see, I can't do that. I because there's so many games that I like to come back and play, and there's a lot of games that I probably will never come back and play that I still have installed, but I like having them. I'm always good with having my external. I have an external for every. Or like an additional hard drive for everything, even the Switch. But that's because I had to for the Switch because the hard drive on the Switch wasn't big enough to install one of the games I bought.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. That's not.
Well, I mean, the Switch has garbage hard drives, 32 gigabytes. My phone has more than that.
It wasn't
my phone, my phone, my cellular phone has more than that. My computer from like 2010 has more than that. Like, I get it. I understand why it's so small. But come on. Come on, Nintendo.
Come on.
If you're going to have games that are going to be that big, I'm going to need more space, my guys.
Right. And you probably should come with
to be fair, it wasn't a Nintendo first party game. Nintendo first party games are actually usually fairly small.
Within the limits.
It was NBA.
Hang time?
No, live.
I know. I just couldn't help it. It was like the way it ended.
I wish they still came out with NBA Hang Time. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. So a couple games that I'm looking forward to. The Final Fantasy VII Remake, which comes out in March, I'm very much looking forward to. Obviously, we got Persona 5 The Royale, which is just Persona 5 again with a little bit more. And your boy already pre-ordered the $100 edition because I have a problem. And a game that gets me more interested the more I see about it, and it really didn't do much for me at first, especially because I've never played any other games by this developer, but everybody speaks so highly of them, and the game looks really good and really makes me want to play it every time I see it, and that is Cyberpunk 2077, which looks like it'll be pretty awesome. So I'm pretty pumped about that. The other thing that I have on my list are the Clone Wars TV show is coming back for a new season on Disney Plus sometime in 2020. I think in like February or so. Love the Clone Wars TV show, so very excited to see them getting a new season there. As I spoke about in my movie section, Promare, I cannot wait for that to be available for purchase because I would love to purchase that movie. I would love to purchase it right now. I actually look every day to see if there's a place where I can watch it right now, but there usually is not. And by usually, I mean there isn't because I haven't found it yet. And it's a bummer because I really just want to watch it again. So I'm very much so looking forward to the day it comes out on Blu-ray or DVD or digital or whatever it may be because I would like to watch that movie again. And the last thing is that I'm looking forward to, I guess, not really looking forward to, but it's definitely something that's going to happen in 2020 is which is I'm going to move. I'm going to be moving in the next year. So that's an exciting thing. And that'll happen when that happens. But I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also not because there's a lot of hassles and things that going in with moving that I'm not super excited about. But yeah, that's it. That's 2020.
Let's bring in the new year, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Boys and girls.
Yeah, that's all I got. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing really else I wanted to bring up. Like I said, I thought 2019 was pretty good. I'm excited for 2020 to see what it has in store. Hopefully, we'll stay on the up and up. Hopefully, we'll get some really cool things. There's a lot of really good-looking games on the pipeline. There's a lot of probably cool movies coming out that I haven't really looked too much into. Avatar 2 might be coming out. Maybe, probably not. And it might never come out. I don't know. I don't really want to watch it, but I know that's something that might come out eventually. I know there's 7 of them supposed to come out, so I figure 2 might happen sooner rather than later, but who knows? Yeah. That's it. That's it for me.
That's what we got, ladies and gents. The year 2019, it was actually a long one. I just, like, it felt like it was going so fast, but reflecting, I'm like, a lot's happened. A lot has happened. And, you know, indubitably.
Yeah.
You know, great.
Hope
awesome.
y'all all had a good 2019. Hope y'all are also excited for 2018. We haven't talked since the holidays, so I hope you had a great holiday season. You got the New Year's coming up tomorrow, already here pretty much, so that's exciting. You know, I hope you have a great year. I hope you had a great year. And I hope you will continue to join us for the future because we'd love to have you here with us and talking about games and movies and stuff. And our next episode, whenever that may be, I think it's next Monday.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about Star Wars because that's a thing. And by that point, everyone will have seen it and had their opinion on it. And we can talk about it and not have to feel like we're going to ruin the movie for everybody. So join us for that. It should be a fun time because I'm sure neither of us have we'll both have things we're going to want to say about it. I'm pretty sure. I think we both. It's not going to be a there's not really much to say about this kind of episode because every now and again those happen. But that's going to be one where it might be a little bit like longer because we're going to talk about certain parts of the movie, whether we liked it or disliked it.
Indeed.
Especially last time we did a Star Wars one, I think it was pretty long too.
Yeah. I actually wasn't expecting because I didn't mind that one as much as I minded this one in the first.
Interesting.
One. Yeah. Like
interesting.
Yeah. I knew you were not a fan, and I was like, well, I understand the frustration because that movie just didn't feel like it did anything. It really
like my review, my opinion on that movie is it is a pretty good movie. Like if you take it away from everything else around it, it's actually not a bad movie. The only problem is there's things around it. There's a lot of things around it. It's a connecting piece of a puzzle that it's like, man, this is a really beautiful piece to this puzzle, but you're just like shove it in the middle of the puzzle and you're like, oh, yeah, I don't think that's where it goes there. It seems to kind of fit, but it doesn't match the things around it. And you're just like, bro, it fits. It fits in the puzzle, dude.
Shh, quiet.
It's like, I think that's from a different puzzle. Like, nah, bro, look at I put it in that spot. It fits. But like one of the pieces is like, it's like very clearly like half on, half off. You're like, no, dude, it fits in the puzzle. Dude.
Or it's like 2 puzzle pieces, one cut in half and taped together.
Tried really hard to put it into this piece.
What?
Like you're sitting there like slamming it into the puzzle for like 2 days, just trying to flatten it so it looks good, and everyone's like, "Bro, all the other pieces are starting to get away from each other now. You clearly that's not goes there." And you're like, "No, dude, it goes. That's where the puzzle piece goes." Yeah, okay. I'm done with my Last Jedi puzzle piece analogy. But yeah, that's what that movie is. is really nice puzzle piece, but it's in the middle of nowhere.
So, but yeah, we'll take it then. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Do say as usual, and hopefully we have a good time next week.
Yes, sir. Later, everybody. Happy New Year.